Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We talked yesterday about the fact that a lot of the tips that I'm bringing out to you this week are related to a fishing trip that I had over the weekend on Saturday with Elite Veteran Outfitters, where I brought a couple of veterans out fishing on Lake Geneva. And there were just some things that happened naturally over the course of that fishing day where we were teaching certain concepts, and it worked out just phenomenally. These guys had such a great trip. We're going to show you a recap of that trip coming up later in the week. But what I wanted to do today is give you another thing that we learned on that fishing trip. And this happens to be something that we figured out about the new Core Tackle Wacky Shot. And guys, I didn't even know this application until we put it to work on Saturday. Stick around, we'll tell you more about it when we come back. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Mark Fisher. The Core Tackle Wacky Shot. I've been using it a lot since it came out, and I love it. I love the fact that the weight on that wacky rig is actually attached right to the worm. Lets me skip docks and things like that. This is the smaller size weight. They've got a heavier and a small. I think this is 1/28 of an ounce. That's what size this is. But like I said, I came up with, or we found, an entirely new application to this. We were fishing for bedding smallmouth. And on Lake Geneva, those bedding smallmouth can be anywhere between 8 feet and 18 feet deep. And we were finding a lot of the fish that were bedding were in about 12 to 13 feet of water. So we could see them down there, and we could see that they were on the bed. And a lot of guys were using either drop shots or Ned rigs, because those weighted baits, you could pretty much get that weighted bait to be down in the bed. Fishing a weightless wacky rig would not be a very efficient way to fish those smallmouths, because first of all, it would take too long for that bait to get down, and getting it to land on the bed would be difficult because of currents and waves and things like that. Light refraction, you don't always know where it's going. However, if you could get a wacky rig Cinco down there, especially the little 4-inch, and by the way, I did an episode about this a couple of weeks ago about using a 4-inch wacky rig. Definitely on smallmouth, I would suggest 4-inch wacky rig, and that's what we used Saturday. But using the weighted Wacky Shot by Core Tackle, we were able to fish bedding smallmouth in 12, 13 feet of water with a wacky rig. And we were able to get that rig to go out, flutter down to the bed, and these were highly pressured smallmouth that had probably been caught. For sure, I know they were caught the day before, because I went out there the day before marking beds, catching a few of them to figure out, whether they would bite and what size they were. I wanted to make sure that my veterans were able to get some decent sized fish. They had been caught on a Ned rig before, so instead of going back and fishing that Ned rig again, this time we used a wacky rig 4-inch Cinco using the Core Tackle Wacky Shot. Was able to get that bait to go right down to the bed, twitch it a little bit, and with that weight, you're just twitching it, and you're getting that bait to wiggle. It's not moving very much because that weight is not making it, the first time you lift up on the rod, it's not moving it off the bed. And we were getting bit really, really nicely, and they were eating it like crazy. So guys, if you haven't thought about this in the past, that Wacky Shot from Core Tackle is an excellent choice to use for smallmouth when they're on beds. Now, here's one more thing that we modified to make it even better. Oh, I'm going to do the traditional YouTube thing here. You guys can fast forward if you want. I know you do, but hit the subscribe button, guys. Before I tell you that second little tip here with the Core Tackle Shot, hit that subscribe button. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Get that notification button. Send us your comments. We appreciate all the feedback that we get. Now let's get to that second tip. When the smallies weren't biting the Ned rig or the drop shot or the wacky rig on the Core Tackle, I went and switched over to a little minnow imitating bait, and I put it on. Let me get it rigged for you. So I got it rigged and I put it on perpendicular to the hook. So there's the hook and there's the bait. And this would come down in the bed, lay on the bed, and you can see how that tail is already, I'm just holding it and it's moving. And you twitch that thing and it would come up just a little bit off the bed, and it was like a trigger. I mean, we saw one that darted from the side and it just ate it right the very first time we threw this on the bed. So there are so many applications for this Core Tackle Wacky Shot. Whether you use the heavier one or the 1/28 ounce, it is a fish catcher, and there's just so many things you can do with it. I love throwing a wacky rig Senko. I'm really falling in love with that 4-inch Senko, especially with the bedding smallmouth. I think the bigger Senko is just too much. You're going to get too much of a chance for them to grab just the tail and swim off with it, as opposed to putting the whole bait in their mouth where you can set the hook and really get them. We had a lot of that going on with the novice fishermen. That was the fish was swimming off with it, but they were just swimming off with the tail or something like that. So this is a deal. So if you're fishing, if you've got the ability to fish bedding smallmouth, if the little 4-inch Senko isn't working, put a little minnow imitator on like this one here. I think this is called the fish roller. If there's a bigger size, that would probably work too. This was maybe a little small, but boy, when it ate it ate the whole thing. So it worked out for us on Saturday. So it worked out great. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in. Send us your comments, and we'll have another episode, actually an Underwater Wednesday episode coming up tomorrow. So we appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you again tomorrow. Take care, everybody.